Okay, I hope this works. I've been fussing with this for a while and it wasn't doing anything except going in circles. You know how that goes. Anyway, so I had an experience this morning and I want to tell you about it because it really has a lesson that you can use in the long run. Now, in the process of telling you this, I'm going to make references to things that some of you probably may not have any idea. Um, don't worry about it. Go with the story and what I'm telling you. And I'll let you know when the key thing happens that you really need to know. Um, so, in other words, what I'm about to tell you, don't let it confuse you because you're trying to figure out what I'm talking about. Just wait until I get to that point. But I got to tell you that stuff first to make the point. Okay. I was playing Wordle this morning, and a friend and I do this, quite frequently. And on occasion, we've been known to text each other back and forth if we're giving each other hints. Wordle is a game in which you've got 5 chances to guess a word. You put in letters and then you try and figure out what the word is. And every once in a while, one of us will be stumped and the other one will give us a clue because we've never both been stumped simultaneously. And so we possibly give clues. This morning, I got the word. The word was suave, Suave. I can think of it as being debonair or, just suave. The word itself doesn't really mean anything in this particular case. And when I was thinking about that, for some obscure reason, my first thought is I've got a great clue. And I pictured an actor from a long time ago, 1940s actually, except for the fact that I couldn't remember his name, which I found relatively interesting. But so I had to go and check it out, try and figure out, which is really difficult when you're trying to figure out what somebody's name is if you can't remember his name, because I was doing everything I could think of. I could think of some of the movies in which he was in and some things about him, but I couldn't think of any words. Okay. Later, it came to me, but it also now the actor was Cary Grant, which in his day and age, he was considered suave and debonair, and all the young girls were basically after him and wishing he would, say hi to them, and they'd just love to have a date with him, that kind of thing. He was one of those guys. Now, the issue here, now that story really is important because what I wanted to demonstrate is that what I was doing and when I came up with that word suave, and what happened is I had a memory that was a picture. Think about this. I had an image in my head. I didn't see the word. I didn't see a definition. I didn't see anything that went along that as far as letters and graphics and hieroglyphics or anything else like that. I saw a picture in my head. You're saying, what's the big deal? Pictures. You see pictures all the time. Let's think about it when it comes to memory. How do small children learn to read? Generally speaking, when in school anyway, people will give them something along the line of like little flashcards, and they'll have the word maybe pig, and they'll have a picture of the pig. If you want to say a house, they'll have a picture of a house. When we learn things, we don't learn them by letters and words. We learn, and our memories hold pictures. Our brain remembers illustrations. And this makes sense if you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. Way back when in ancient history, when most people couldn't read, they needed to know where to find the water, where to find the animals, or some such thing like that. They weren't saying it was on the 42nd vine. They were saying it was down by the creek with the big boulders and everything. They were probably creating pictures to tell people where they found something. If you're doing your grocery list, you're more likely to remember things that you need or don't need, as the case may be, if you can visualize that in your head. Well, where else would you visualize it in your head? You're not thinking in terms of words. Think about this. So let's say you want to remember your grocery list. I'm going to suggest you do something like make an illustration, make a little sketch. You need milk, make some kind of picture that means milk to you. You need bacon, make some kind of picture that means bacon to you. Don't necessarily write the word down. You can sketch a picture because you are more likely to remember the picture than you are to remember the word. Does this make sense? Now, where it comes from studying or anything where you can put that into use other than your grocery list, let's say you're trying to learn a language or you're trying to learn something new and you've got a new set of vocabulary and words that are not used to you because it's a new field or whatever. Basically, you're learning a new set of vocabulary for some particular endeavor. So let's just say, okay, the Spanish word for house is casa. So you could create yourself, in a sense, a flashcard with the Spanish word casa, C-A-S-A, and then on the flip side, instead of writing H-O-U-S-E, make a picture that you know is and think of as a house. You can sketch it out as long as you know that it's a house. It doesn't matter whether anybody else does. If you're trying to look at different elements, try and make pictures of them instead of the words. I suspect, and if you practice this for a little bit and let yourself play with it, that you will have an easier time remembering the words, remembering the other words in the language, or remembering the other words in that new job or new task you're trying to learn, if you do it in terms of pictures. Now you're going to say, well, what about things that don't have easy pictures? Let's just say cold. Again, in Spanish, it's frio, F-R-I-O. That's a little difficult to picture, but you could, the thing that I had thought about would be that I would make a picture of, say, like a thermometer, and I would say that it was at a freezing level, and I, making it like look cold. So and you don't have to do anything except that it's meaningful to you. Okay? Uh, if anybody else doesn't figure out the pictures, it doesn't matter as long as it makes sense to you. So that if you're turning over a card and trying to learn these new words or these new whatever it is you're trying to learn, as long as it means to you, I would be willing to bet that you'll find it easier to remember those things if you do it in pictures. Now, what about things that are not going to be easy to visualize or do something like that? So the one word in the example I'm going to give you is going to seem a little weird, but go with me on this. Let's just suppose you have to say something like learn the elements in chemistry. Again, I told you this is weird, but just go with me because this is an example of what I'm trying to say. One of them is helium. One of them is hydrogen. Let's just suppose we're trying to remember the word hydrogen. You could, in a sense, think in terms of a word that seems and sounds like hydrogen. In this case, I'm going to advance the word hydrant, like fire hydrant. So if you did something like on your flashcards, hydrogen, and on the flip side, you did a picture of, again, a sketch that you do that you just know what it is, of a fire hydrant, I'd be willing to bet that you'll remember the word hydrogen much longer or much quicker by thinking in terms of hydrogen, than you will if you write out the word. So you can come up with words and make them illustrations of things that sound alike or that seem connected to that, as long as you can make a connection between the word that you're trying to learn and whatever it is that picture you're drawing. Try it. I'd be willing to bet that you're going to remember some of those words much faster and much more easily than if you just try and spell out the words, because our brains don't think in terms of letters. Little kids, world over, show them a picture and take whatever language you want, show them a picture of a house or a cat or whatever, and show them the picture of the animal. They will learn the word and they will recognize that much, much easier. If it happens, regardless of what language you speak, and you're showing the language, don't you think that it's going to happen to you now too? Use pictures. Does this make sense? Hopefully all of this comes together now and you can understand why I told the story, because I was giving the word swab, even though I didn't come up with a picture of anything that was anywhere close to S-U-A-V-E. The picture in my mind of somebody who was suave was what I came up with, and so I made the connection in my head. And I'm probably going to remember this little instance for a long time to come, simply because I've got the picture in my head. Okay? Try it. See what happens. See if you find this helpful. At least give some thought to how often you do this during the course of the week, and then let me know, whether it's helpful or not. Try it on a new set of vocabulary words and see what you can come up with. Have fun with this. I'd be willing to bet that, again, part of the reason you would remember the words faster is the fun you have coming up with pictures to go along with that, as opposed to just writing out the element is hydrogen or some such thing like that. Does this make sense? Again, let me know. I hopefully that my experience today was useful for you, and tell me whether it made sense and whether you actually like this kind of information, and we'll see what we can do about it in the future. Again, I hope it was useful. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback on it, and I hope you have a good week. We'll see you later. Bye.